cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. I had to do this twice. Having a day. Today we're talking about Corey Micciolo and justice for Corey as we approach sentencing on August 2nd. Now, Breanna Micciolo sends her love. The family has COVID. However, Rebecca was so kind as to come on. She's actually driving, so I'm going to bring her on here in a minute. I want to say hello to everybody. What's up, Adam, Marilyn? We got Hot Mess, Krista, Mala, Melly, and everybody. And today I have Rebecca. So I'm going to put us side by side here and take you off mute there. Hello, Rebecca. Everybody, if you could say hi to Rebecca. That's you guys remember Rebecca? That is Rebecca Micciolo, Corey's grandma.
Everyone. Take a slight right turn to merge on.
Everybody says hi. Everyone, hello from Jess. And are you serious? Yeah, Bree is not feeling well, unfortunately. I guess the family's down with COVID or something pretty bad, huh? That's coming back around.
Yeah, they have COVID.
That's too bad. Well, everyone sends their love and thank you for coming on today. Sentencing is approaching, and I'm wondering how things have been going since since we last talked. I see Bree has been really busy with interviews, which is great.
Yeah. Well, nothing changed. Corey's still not here, so.
Of course. Any laws are in the works? Any anything that you guys are working on? Maybe.
I think Bree is in the works with someone. I don't know who. For Corey's law or something. I'm not involved in it, so I don't know much about it. And that's it for now. I mean, we're just kind of waiting for sentencing, and then I don't know what happens from there.
Right. And I'm. Where are you traveling to right now? Can you remind me? I know
I'm going back home to New Jersey. It was in North Carolina. In I think Delaware now, so I'm almost home.
Well, everybody gives you big hugs, and again, I think you said the realest thing that you could have ever said was that Corey's still not here.
Right.
And I was looking at the Justice for Corey page, and when I'm done talking to you, I won't keep you too long, but looking at the Justice for Corey page, and there's 19,000 people on there, and after sentencing or after the guilt phase, everybody was starting to realize that they made a huge mistake with Christopher Gregor. It's too bad they waited so long, so.
Yeah.
I mean, what about you? How are you doing? You have other grandbabies. Is that correct?
I have one granddaughter and Corey. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Are you getting any kind of, I mean, what have you been doing? Are you coping with it? Therapy, anything?
Oh yeah, I have a psychiatrist, I have a therapist, I have medication. I didn't have any of this before this happened. Chris really did a number on me. Got to give him credit.
He did. Well, we all want to send our love to you, and everyone will be watching. We're going to have somebody at the court, boots on the ground. I'm assuming you'll be there for sentencing as well. Is that an assumption? Now, are you going to be able to say anything when you get there? Or? Okay.
Yes, we met with the prosecutor on Friday before I left for my trip. Bree and I had a meeting, and we both were able to talk about our impact statements that we're going to read in court. So,
hopefully,
um,
yeah, hopefully the judge is, hears you loud and clear and understands that a lot of mistakes were made. I mean,
well, I think he's already heard everyone loud and clear, but the law is the law, and Chris has not been convicted of any crimes in the past. So I think he'll be walking out of there in about 20 years, if we're lucky.
oh,
Maybe 20.
I'm sorry. It's
Yeah,
I'm
that's
it's
not good.
I mean, I always like to hear the truth and I like people to hear it. And as I read these articles, it says 30 years, but then also the endangerment charge. And so people are hoping 30 plus 10, but being real, you don't
He's
think
not
so.
going to get the maximum because he's been such an altar boy all along, you know? He's never gotten convicted of anything, always got away with it. So why should this be any different? Can you
Yeah.
tell him a little bitter?
I
Sorry,
can, I can,
I
and it's
can't help
okay.
it.
I
I
mean,
stay this way.
I'm yeah, I mean the real rawness of the situation. You're making me a little. I mean, I'm sad for your family. I pray for your family, and yeah,
Yeah.
Rosie says 20 years. I'm. That's the real
Don't
reality
hold
of the
me to
justice
that. I
system.
That's just my thought. I don't think it's going to be 30. You know, I just
Right.
don't see it. And I'm just trying to be real. So when it happens, I'm not disappointed. You know, I'm setting myself
Yeah.
up for less
Right.
than and hoping for more. But, like I said, there's some kind of, I don't know what you would call it within the legal or justice system. It's almost like a scale or something. And they rate you on, have you been in trouble before, and different things.
Right.
And, I know he has a lovely past, but like I said, he's never been convicted of a crime.
Right.
So they're going to take that into consideration.
Yeah,
So,
and absolutely, that's it's the real justice systems, folks. It's how it works, and yeah, I mean,
yep,
we're here to support you. I've told Bree that you be angry, be real, get it out. Whatever you have to do. Hopefully, you can heal at some point, and
yeah,
it's like poisoning, that saying about poisoning yourself when you're trying to hurt somebody else.
yeah.
It's that, and I know, I'm not telling
Oh,
you
yeah.
anything new, but if you were my
Yeah.
mom, I would say the same thing.
I'm
you
not going to
know
be that person that gets up in the courtroom and says, I forgive you, Chris. That is never coming out of my mouth. I will
right,
never forgive that monster. If it were up to me, he would get what
right.
he gave Corey, and he would take his last breath scared and alone like Corey did. I have no sympathy for that monster. And I pray daily that something bad happens to him. And I don't care how bad that sounds.
No, it
I
does.
don't
It's.
care.
I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to, if you want to get some of that out and kind of just tell us, did you write an impact statement, or you just want to let?
I wrote
I'd like
it.
to hear what you have to say in a nutshell. If they're watching,
Well,
these people watch this. I'm just curious what you have to say to that, because he is a monster.
I just, pretty much you're not really talking to the monster when you're making this statement. You're pleading with the judge. That's what you're
Right,
doing. So it's not like you're looking at him and saying, oh, Chris, this, or that's not what it's about. I wish it was, but it's not. And basically, I just told the judge what happened to me after
right,
this. Breanna, her sister, my
right.
granddaughter. I just said, this man took so much from so many. And, that I just said that, you know, basically, Corey will never get to, you know,
Use the right two lanes.
he was 6 years old and
Right.
he didn't get to live. And I don't feel like Chris should, and, I don't want to say too much because then, I will have already given my impact statement if I,
Right. Right. Now,
say
I mean,
word for
just from the
word.
from the
Take a
bottom of
slight
your
right
heart, I just, if his parents were watching, I mean, like that's what I mean. Just like, what
Oh,
would you
don't even get
want to
me
tell
started
him?
on those people. They should have terminated that thing. That's all I can say. That monster should have never been born. And that's what David Gregor said about Corey. Well, you know what, pal? Your son he should have never made it. He should have never been born. He's a monster. And I give them the credit for that because when you cover up your kid's stuff his
No,
whole
you can
life,
cuss. Yeah, yeah,
he doesn't learn. So here we are. The crimes got more serious. The things that he was doing got more serious. They knew what was going on in their house. It happened
yeah.
to another kid that was living in their house. Corey wasn't the first victim. There was another
And they
little kid.
created that. Yeah, they
Yep.
created that
They
monster,
covered that one
and
up too.
they sure did. They sure did. And these people do watch these things, and that's why I say, like, hey, you can get it off your chest what you want to say. That's why wanted Bree on here to just, get ready for that.
Yeah.
We don't know half of the stuff that happened or what you went through. We only see what they cut out, what they want to show to put a story together. And so, I mean, did you have a relationship with those people at all, or you just saw them in the fake
Um,
passing? I
oh
don't even
no,
know.
I met them one time. They invited me to their
Huh,
home before their first visit with Corey, when Corey was
right.
5. It was like a job interview, I guess. When they invited me over, they didn't want Bree there, just me, because I guess Bree was just this god awful person. Um, so I went to their house, and I guess I was supposed to be impressed by their big house, but I'd had one in the past too, so didn't impress me
Yeah.
much. I took a
No.
bunch of pictures.
She's cutting out a little bit, folks, and that's okay. She's driving, so
Can you
if
hear
she,
me?
yeah, I can hear you now. So you went to the house. Definitely
Yeah,
not
so I had
impressive.
pictures of Corey, but they weren't really interested. They more just wanted to know, did he have any issues like learning disabilities or handicaps? Were we involved with DCP&P at all? Which I thought was a really weird question, and we were not.
Right.
So I said no. But the reason they asked that question is because Chris at the time had an open DCP&P case because he abused his then girlfriend's son that was living in the Gregor household. And they lied about that one too.
So they're
So
not even going
that's
to
why they were
take that.
interested.
So they're not going to take that into
No,
consideration.
no,
Wow.
nope. It's in my impact statement. I made sure I got anything I could. The
Right.
judge is going to hear the crimes that I know he committed.
Right.
He's not going to rule on those because he wasn't convicted, but he's going to know about it.
Which is good because I know they left things out of the case, of course, like they do. Yeah, I didn't know that either, and so that means that, I mean, he's just, well, a monster, but also a bully. He likes to be in control, and I thought it was Corey. I thought, I think she's this is Rebecca Micciolo, everybody. Bree Micciolo is going to be on today, but they have COVID. So yes, Chris is disgusting, and we have a whole show today. Hopefully Rebecca can come back on, but if not, that means her phone cut out, and she's driving right now. So yeah, sweetie Brookahire, Rebecca, your heart is broken, and Corey will live in your heart and with all of us. And if she drops, oh, there you are. There you
Hey,
are.
sorry.
Yay. That's
Uh,
okay. Yeah, we're just showing our love for you. Yeah, so the impact statement, is Chris gonna be there? Is he gonna hear you at
yes,
all? Oh, he
he
does.
will. He gets to also speak if he chooses to. His attorney will be speaking, the prosecutors, of course. His parents, or maybe his sister, somebody may be allowed to make a statement if the judge allows it, which I'm sure he will because he's not going to want to, you know, step on any toes or whatever. So I'm sure if they want to make a statement, be, they'll be allowed to make a statement.
And they probably will. Our perfect little boy was, she dropped out. Maybe she'll
Get his
come back
ass on
on.
at this
There she
point.
is. That's okay. Yeah, they're probably going to say that, but I'm glad that you're gonna be able to bring up about him abusing another child before that. I thought he
Yeah.
was targeted at Corey, but I think he's just a monster and an abuser on all levels.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I don't think he was always treated nicely, and maybe so, that's why he's doing it. I don't know that to be true. I'm just guessing, but I don't know
right,
why else you would do that to your own kid. I mean, not that you should do it to any child, but your own. I don't get that.
right,
But I think he was a bully. He was a bully his whole life. If you call anybody that went to school with him, they're going to tell you that he was not nice. He was always a
right.
bully. So
And I
it's
and I
just
feel like he's like the perfect he's a perfect recipe for a bully. And his parents are those parents that are like everything has to be perfect. It has to look perfect. So they had the facade going, in my opinion. And I think what you said, his dad was a little kind of military. He probably did take it out on him, but that's no excuse for any of that. I feel like deep
yeah.
down he's just evil. He's just an evil man, if you want to
He
call him a
didn't.
man.
The problem is he didn't want Corey, and he didn't want anybody to know about Corey. So when
Uh,
everything came out, he had to punish everybody. So he knew by doing things to Corey that it was punishing Bree, and it was
right,
punishing, and you know, um, the end result was Corey's no longer here. I don't think he meant to kill Corey. I
right,
think he couldn't control himself. He has a temper. He couldn't
right,
control himself, and he went too far. But he should have called an ambulance hours before. He could have
right,
saved him, and he chose not to. So that makes him an even bigger monster. He could have
right,
saved him. He didn't want to because then Corey would tell. He would have told what happened to him. So he couldn't save him because then he'd
right.
be in more trouble. He figured, I
And
think
then he was
he should have
trying to
came
run.
clean. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he ran like the little bitch that he is.
Take a slight left
And
turn.
he is a bitch, and I hope that they have him in general population, which, if he gets a lighter sentence, they're just gonna throw him out in general population. And he's a little pretty boy that is a coward towards anybody that's not weaker than him. So, you
Right.
know, justice is served. Karma will catch up with them, or whatever you want to call that. We're all praying for the harshest sentence, but I think you might be right. I think you might be right that the judge is gonna, with the family record and the parents acting like he's an altar boy,
Yep.
you know. Yeah, wow. Can I ask you, and I don't remember, how long did he actually even have Corey in his custody for?
I guess it was probably
Roughly.
on and off about 18 months.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, what wasn't
So
a
he
long
was
time. He was pretty quick with what he did.
but he was, I'm sure, and what Bree says, he was abusing him when he could,
Yeah, from
whenever he
day
had a
one.
chance.
Yep,
Okay.
he was. I mean, I could tell you so many stories. A couple that stick out in my mind. It got to the point where we were picking up and dropping off at the police station for visits. So
Right.
Bree and I had taken Corey to get a haircut, and it was called the fade shop, whatever. They do all those weird lines in your hair and stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
You on little
so Corey
boys.
waited patiently to get a haircut, and it looked so nice. And so we were due to drop him with Chris, and you know, Chris would not allow Breanna to be present. Like she was the devil, So it was always me and Breanna's sister Nicole. We would take Corey. So this particular night, I
Right.
dropped him off with Chris and his father at the police station. And when I went to pick Corey up, it was kind of dark, and he was very sad. And he got in the car, and I didn't really see him until I had to go to the grocery store. And we get out of the car and we get in the store, and there's bald spots in his hair. And I said, Corey, what happened to your hair? My daddy didn't like it. And I said,
Oh, so
well,
he,
what do you mean? He shaved bald spots in Corey's hair after Corey got a haircut that day. He told Corey that he looked like, I don't want to say this on the air because it's very not nice, but he told Corey that he looked like a certain kind of person and he was going to fix it.
right.
So he shaved
Oh,
bald spots and stuff in his hair. And, you know,
I get
I
what you're
mean,
saying. Yeah, he didn't like the lines or something bothered him.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, he
Yeah,
thought it was ghetto or something, you know, that
yeah,
he didn't
yeah.
like
I hear
that.
you,
So, you know, he took care of
man.
it, did that. I mean, he just did so many things, you know, to Corey, just things that are just so evil, you know, you just, I don't know.
No,
There's a
it is
lot.
evil. There's not a lot of other words, but I do believe evil. But also, I believe he's a psychopathic, narcissistic. I'm sure clinically you can say a lot of different things about him, and
Yeah.
I'm still sitting here with hope that they do go as max as they can. Um, I do. We're all still hoping for that. So I know you're angry and you're justified in that. And I wouldn't expect you to say, I forgive you, because I don't think any of us forgive him. You know, I,
No,
I can see the disdain on your face and hear it in your voice for him. And I don't blame you one bit. That was your baby, your
I hate
grandson,
him. I have so much hate and it grows every day. It doesn't get easier. I hate him more and more each day. And you know, these people tell you, oh, time heals. No, it doesn't.
No, it
They're
doesn't.
full of it because I'm not improving. I'm not feeling any better. You know,
I
I get,
agree with
like I
you.
said, I get more bitter and more angry each day that passes. I'm mad. I'm pissed off. You know, I feel like the only way I would feel a little bit better is if, like I said earlier, he took his last breath afraid and alone, just like Corey did. And then I might feel 5% better.
Right. I get that. I get that 110%. I understand.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I, yeah, all I can say is, prayers for your family. There's a large community that supports you all. I hope that at some point you find peace in yourself, not with him. Screw him. I hope you feel a little better once he gets locked up and you don't have to deal with the impact statements at court and whatever. But I mean, you're
Right.
probably going to support Bree, however, right? There's a civil suit. I know Bree's talked about. Are you involved with any of
Yeah.
that, or are you just letting her do it?
No, that.
Her phone's cutting out a little. Remember, she's driving, y'all. And yes, we're talking about Corey Micciolo. Go ahead. I didn't hear that part. The civil suit, is
No,
that something?
that's all Bree. You know, I'm not
Okay,
involved in it, but I mean, I know what's going on, obviously, with it, but
of course.
that's all on her. And
Right.
you know, I'm writing a book, so
Oh,
about
well,
Corey.
if you need help with anything, let me know. I've published my own book and several others. So if you just need any advice or anything, let me know. You
Oh,
probably
thank
have it
you.
covered. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
have. I wrote it. Have a great editor. And we publish our own. So if you don't want to pay someone a ton of money to publish your book and you want advice, just ask. I got you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
because
I feel
people will
like,
get you. Go ahead.
you know, writing the book, the whole story will get out there in this book. You know, the story that didn't come out in court. Um, you know, the story that we can't get out when we do things like this, like coming on your show. We don't get the whole story out there. You know,
Right,
there's not enough
right.
time. So writing this book, everything's, I'm not holding back. Everything's going in this book.
It
And
feels a bit healing as well, and I know you might not think so yet.
yeah, no,
But
I'm not feeling that way yet, but you know, we'll see.
yeah, but
I just,
yeah,
I, you know, like I said, I'm bitter. I can't
and
say
you
it enough.
should be. There were so many things that you when I heard when you two were in the last interview, there's so many things that you didn't know. I mean, you didn't even know that that happened. Your daughter was essayed by this guy, and I'm sure that affected
No,
a lot of things that you didn't even know about.
I know. No.
Um,
I sit and think, wow, what if we knew and what if we did something and then would it have led to this? I mean, you have all those what ifs. We could have done something different, but I don't know. I still think the end result would have been the same. He was pretty determined to, you know, take Brianna's happiness away. And he knew that by doing this to Corey, it was punishing Bree.
right. Well, we're here and we're hoping that he absolutely gets the max. I hope that they do have some pressure on their side, knowing that there's going to be a civil suit. I hope the judge sees that and they take everything into consideration. Um, 20 years sounds way too light, whether he has a past or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, nobody said that exact number, but just
No,
hearing
I know what
everything
you're
that
saying.
I heard, and
I know.
I'm doing the math, and that's what I'm coming up with.
And I hear
Unfortunately,
you.
he's not been convicted of stuff.
So the
You know,
judge, I'm doing the math and being on the positive side of things. If the judge decides to give him the max, he's allowed to give him 30 years and then he's allowed to give him 10 years for the second charge, which is endangerment in New Jersey. He's
right?
allowed to do that if he
Yeah,
wants to. So the maximum
if he
sentence would
chooses
be
to.
40 years if he chooses to. And I don't know that judge. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know his personality. I mean, what did you think about him during the trial? Do you have any like just an overview
I
of his person?
Listen. I think the judge was fair, and I think he was cautious, and
Okay,
that's it. I don't have any
fair,
other opinion. I'm just praying.
fair and cautious.
I'm praying that he gives Corey justice. That's what I'm hoping for. And
And me too. Yeah. So everybody's asking when sentencing is. I had it below, guys. I hit the like button because that's the only way we can get in the algorithm to have Rebecca or Bree or any families on here and help with justice. So August 2nd is sentencing, and let me tell you what he was found guilty, but they're they're sentencing him on aggravated manslaughter and child endangerment of his 6-year-old son. So that's what the New Jersey law holds is 30 years would be max for the, you know, for the first charge and 10 would be max. If he decides to do that, I don't know.
right.
And I know that's still not enough for you. I know. I understand.
You know what I want. I think I've already said it twice. And if you want me to repeat it again, I think he should be given the same thing he gave Corey. And he should take his last breath alone,
And
scared.
afraid.
And it
Yeah,
should be painful. It should be a couple weeks worth of suffering and then
right.
lights out. That I would get joy from it. I'm sorry to say it. I know it sounds horrible, but I
Now, I
I
think
would be
we're all
okay with that.
hoping for that as well as some prison justice because people like that are pretty boys and cowards and mommy and daddy's feeding them money, they don't do so well in prison.
Right.
So yeah, we definitely want justice for Corey. And I know people that have been in prison and jail, and he's just not going to do that well.
No, because he's going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you know, and they're not going to be okay with that unless he's protected, and he could be. Maybe he's going to go to a, like a Martha Stewart prison or something. Who knows?
You know what? You're right. That I don't think so, but I understand what you're saying. He may go
No,
to
he,
an
he might.
easy. He might. I don't know what the New Jersey
Because
prison
they
systems
may think they can is it rehabilitate when, yeah,
rehabilitate.
they might, yeah, they might think that they can fix him, because he's so smart. He's got a master's degree. You do know that, right? Have you not heard
Oh
that
yeah,
yet?
yeah. Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
definitely,
he can
yeah,
wipe his ass with it. Yeah,
yeah. There's a couple of things
that
about him, and
bastard.
he's like a 2D guy. He's like got two couple things, and that's it. Now this is Corey Michelo's grandmother, Rebecca Micciolo, on the screen, Jamie, and we're talking about as we approach sentencing for Christopher Gregor, and we're very happy that we have her on here. We wanted to hear your side. I would have been happy for you to come on with Bree. Bree has, they all have COVID right now, but I just really wanted to hear how you've been doing, what you're feeling up into this point. So I don't think anything's going to make you feel better. Um, right. One
No,
last question. Go ahead. You
I'm
could talk
sorry.
as much.
No,
I was just gonna
I was just saying, I just get, when you go to the cemetery with, I go with Bree, with my other daughter, with my granddaughter, it's pathetic that that's where Eliana, my granddaughter, goes to see her brother. It's sickening. And that makes me get full of rage again and wish bad
Right.
things on Chris yet again. And, when does that go away? I don't know that it will.
Yeah, I don't
I
know
don't know.
either. On
I don't have the answer.
maybe it, yeah, and time isn't the key, but I think maybe just what you end up doing with it. If Corey's law happens, and you're able to get a book out and just tell your story and have groups. That's all. That's only like advice I would have. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. I wrote a book and it was very healing for me
right.
in writing my book and telling my story. And I never thought I was even that like really traumatized by some of my issues until I wrote that book. And I feel so much better about it. So you never know what's gonna help. Nicole, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says prayers for you and your family. To you, Rebecca. A
Thank
great
you.
person. You'll get through it. Yeah, keep your head up. We're all praying for you, and we're all
Thank
here.
you.
All the way through. If when you write a book, we'll promote your book out there and make sure
Oh,
people
thank
get to
you.
read that story. Yeah, I mean, we're here for you all the way through. We're not going anywhere. So,
Thank you.
again, you could just text me and say, "Hey, what how do I do this or what?" And I'll direct you. I'd love to help you get your
Right.
story out. It is healing, believe it or
Thank
not.
you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
We're
it'll
all
be,
here.
it's not easy, trying to write because there's so much that happened in such a short time, and
Right.
you want to make sure you get everything. And it's a lot of work. I didn't think it was going to be so tough because I kept saying to Bree, we lived the story. It's not like we're making it up. We know the story. We lived it. How hard can it be to write it? It's not easy.
No,
You know,
it's
it,
not
it's
easy. There are people do that do help though. Like they have people that are ghost writers, and you could just tell them your
yes,
story like you do, and they'll help you put it together, and then editor, and then we can help you. We don't want you to pay all these fees to get someone to publish it because they take all your money. So
right.
if you need that, you could just ask me, and then I'll tell you how to get it on Amazon, and then from there it can. Yeah, better to self publish it. Don't let everyone take your money, man.
Right, right.
But I understand. It's just you have a lot to say though. I mean, when we talked last time, you went all the way from we started from high school when that happened to
Yes,
Bree to having the baby. I mean,
yes.
you have a lot of information and you were there.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
can I ask you when the last time you talked to Corey was were you able to see him in the hospital at all or
The night before he passed away, Bree had him at the hospital, and I took a phone charger there for her. And I had taken some drinks and stuff for Corey, because they'd been there for a while. And he just
right?
kept saying, Gima, they stuck something in my nose. They'd done a COVID test, and he hated that.
Oh,
But
the wheel.
he was in good spirits because he was with Bree, and they were doing TikTok. I think that's what it's called. I'm a little old. You'll have to forgive me, but
It's
I think
okay.
that's what it is, where you do like the little video things, whatever. And they were doing stuff like that, and then the next morning before she returned him to Dickhead, I mean
Yeah, we'll
Chris.
call him that. We'll call him
Um,
Dickhead. That's cool.
you know, um, I said, I had a conversation with him after he had his breakfast, and I said, take my phone with you. And when he starts doing, beating you, call 911. And he said, Gma, I can't. I said, why? And he said, I just can't. And I said, well, can you run downstairs, tell a neighbor? And he said, I can't. This kid knew what was happening. He knew it was going to happen, and he accepted it. He was more of a man at 6 years old than that bastard will ever be. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
That kid was brave, and he accepted what was happening. He knew that Bree tried. We all tried to help him, and he just gave up.
Yeah.
He knew, the end was near, and Corey knew it. And that's pathetic. That makes me mad and bitter and angry all
Yeah.
over again when I think about what Corey had to go through. You know,
Me too. He knew it was happening.
he did.
An old soul is what I can think of. He definitely, it's like he knew and he accepted his fate. And, you know, I man, there's nothing that's going to bring him back, but definitely
Yeah.
just getting the word out there and talking about it and bringing awareness so that, whatever has to be done for something like that in the future, people know and say, oh, I heard that before. I see. How can I get in touch or whatever? That's where the network comes in and the communication of people. And I'm sorry that I can't say enough to you about that. I mean, Bree said that, yeah, that he knew that that was happening, that he was saying, what happens when you die, mom, or something like that. It
Oh
don't,
God.
Martin, or where do you,
I had a conversation with him 5 days before he passed away, and I can't stand repeating it. It's part of my impact letter, though, my statement.
right,
Corey was he was at the house, and the only way we could check him out to see if he had any bruises was to have him go in the bathtub or something, because we didn't want to make a big deal of it, because Corey would
right,
get really upset if we pointed something out. So I said, oh, why don't you come in at, Gma's bathroom and take a bubble bath? So I got it ready for him. And when he undressed, the bruises covering, it made me sick.
right. I can't even imagine that.
The most concerning was the lump, the bruise in his chest by his heart. And so, Bree came in the bathroom, we talked about it, and I believe she made a report to DCPMP that night. And Corey got, in my bed to watch TV and stuff. This is our thing that we did, And
Right.
he asked me if God could see what was happening to him.
Oh, so I mean, he knew. Obviously, you guys talked to him about God and said your prayers or
Right.
whatever, with
Um,
children. Man,
Numerous times he asked me why his daddy wasn't going to hell, and I told him that he would.
oh man,
I mean, a 6-year-old asking
wow,
why this monster wasn't going to hell. That's he
man,
just, and the conversation went on, as he wanted to know why God wasn't helping him. And I said something I regret saying, and I told him that somebody needed God's help more than him right now.
right, man. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry for you to have to repeat that. I can see you getting a little emotional. Me as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just doing my best here to try to,
No,
help and
it's,
keep the word out.
again, I get sad, I cry, and then the bitterness and then the anger and, the hopes and prayers that the same thing happens to Fat Bastard. I hope he
Yeah,
suffers. I hope he suffers a long time. And I hope
and so
he
do we.
takes his last breath by himself and very afraid. That's what he deserves, and he should
I
have nothing
agree.
less. I can't help how I feel.
And you know what? And that's okay. If you go through those motions, and I think you're gonna go through them for a long time because that's a
Yeah.
reality. I'm imagining somebody's asking, but I would imagine I'm going to answer for you that Chris has never apologized or ever said anything about even doing it. Probably,
No,
right?
you're kidding me, right? No, he
Yeah, I
never.
didn't think so.
No, the last conversation had with him was when he called for the insurance card when he was dropping Corey off at the hospital. Um, because the fat bastard didn't have health insurance for Corey. Bree held the insurance because he was
Oh, man. And how, uh, let's see if you go back on so I can find out how many days after. And thank you all for being here and supporting the channel. Okay, how many, just I won't keep you too much longer. I know you're driving, it's emotional. How much after when he called for the card, how many days later did Corey pass it? Was it in that
hours.
same visit? Oh,
It
it
was
was
hours.
hours.
Yeah. The next thing, we're calling hospitals. We called the police department because we didn't know where he took Corey. We didn't know what was going on. And then the last hospital, we called all the hospitals in the area, and I called again one of the local hospitals, thinking, I said to Brie, oh, maybe they didn't register him yet. He could have been there when we called, but it takes a while to register. So I called one of the
Right,
hospitals back that we had called, and somebody put me on the phone with a nurse, I think, and she said, he's here, hold on. So I
right.
said to Bree, he's at that hospital, I'm on hold. And I'm looking out the window, and two cops are coming up to our door. So we're like, why are the cops here? Like, what's going on?
Right.
And I remember I'm on hold with the hospital, and Bree opened the front door, and one of the cops turned away from the door and took a phone call. And I later found out that it was the detective from Ocean Township calling him to let him know that we didn't know that Corey had passed away, and they were there to inform us. And I believe he was supposed to put that detective on the phone with Bree. But while the one cop was on the phone with the detective, the other cop said to Bree something like, so how long's your kid been dead, or something?
Oh
And I hung
man.
up the phone. Bree collapsed.
Oh,
He didn't know that we didn't know, or something. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, she lost it. And,
oh no,
and we were like, no, no, you got the wrong person. We thought they'd made a mistake. We didn't believe it. And,
so that he dropped him off. He wasn't
you
even there.
know,
He just dropped him off and left, right? Didn't
he lingered for a
did
little bit, but Corey,
bastard.
was one of the, yeah, the hospital staff was with Corey when he took his last breath, not
Oh
Chris.
man, I'm
He
sorry.
was on his
I
way to
didn't.
Tennessee, and
Yeah, yeah, he was trying to leave. Yeah, I mean, all the way around, he deserves the maximum, and if he doesn't get it, he deserves whatever he's going to get in prison. Again, we're all here for
right,
you. There's things that I had no idea about. I didn't realize you guys found out that way either. That's like
yeah,
one of the worst possible thing. I mean, I feel your anger. Wow. Somebody asked, I wanted to clarify that too. I know Corey's birthday was coming up, and he wrote something in chalk or something, that "Will I die?" or what?
that
What was
was
that?
it was this 5 days before he passed away, when I had the
Okay,
conversation with him after his bath about God. He'd written on
right.
our sidewalk with chalk, I died. And
I
there's a
died.
picture of it. Yeah.
Oh
There's
man,
took a picture of it. The detectives took a picture of it when they came to the house, and it was sad. It's he knew, he
right.
knew,
Well, I'm
and
glad that he had a relationship with God. I'm glad that my mom's like that with my children, and I'm glad that you know, that you introduced him to God and told him and kept that so that he didn't feel hopefully so alone, if that means
right,
anything.
right.
Man,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's a little
heartbreaking,
comforting.
folks. It,
And I think Bree is grateful, and that Chris wasn't the last face that Corey had to see, as he
yeah,
was,
all of us
you
are.
know,
Right.
because how
Well,
horrible would that be, to have to look at the monster that did that to you? I mean, you know,
and
it would
yeah,
have been
many
bad.
people. I'll fill you in on this case after when we're done here, folks. For the people that don't have all the questions or answers, but I mean, you got reported hundreds of times. This wasn't like just a thing that happened, folks. If you guys haven't been
Um,
following the case, right? I mean,
and not only Bree, but I was making calls. Her sister, her father, I believe, made a few calls. We were making reports, And
And
it was just when we would make a report, Chris would make one. And so they started acting like we were just using
oh,
them to get back at each other or something,
right.
and it just seemed like every time they went to Chris's parents' house, they always believed them, because, well,
Of
the
course.
highly decorated state trooper could never do anything wrong. He wouldn't lie or anything. So must be us,
Right.
couldn't be them. And it's
Right.
just, I mean, listen, I'm going to call out a couple police departments in my area. They didn't
Right.
listen. And I know the cops can't get involved in certain things,
Domestic.
but
Yeah.
they didn't help. Do you know what I mean?
I
They didn't
do.
help because they let him go when he slashed my tires and they found him 2 blocks away from my house. Oh, nope, wasn't me. And my dad's a highly decorated retired state
Right.
trooper. Okay, go home. You
That
can
was
go home then.
probably that
I
was
mean,
probably the biggest thing. I think that was probably the biggest thing, knowing he probably had some relationship with him. But when it's a child, that's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure, and not to say anything bad, but I'm sure any one of you would sacrifice yourself for Corey. You'd rather him take your life or Bree's life over little Corey that didn't get to live a
oh,
life at
no,
all. Because that's how I
definitely.
feel about my children.
Of course.
You take my life, man. Yeah.
Oh, believe me,
Well,
he wanted to. He just didn't get the opportunity.
Well, now he's going to be, even if he does, let's just say that the judge, for some reason, maybe the judge, I don't know. I was going to say maybe he doesn't have a soul, because if anybody that has a soul sees this and hears all the things, they would give him the max sentence, because that's his decision. He can give him the
I
max
know,
sentence.
but you have to also think about this. There's the chance to appeal things, and I think the
Yeah,
judge is trying to avoid that, and I get it. I think the judge did. This wasn't an easy case,
right,
and I think he did everything in his power, so far. I think he's, like I said, he's been fair. I don't have
right.
any issues. I think the prosecutors kicked ass in this case. I think they were
They did.
amazing. They were,
Right.
and I love the fact that they were women because Chris doesn't like women too much.
Yes.
He thinks they're beneath him,
Oh, of
and
course.
they
Yeah.
kicked his ass pretty much. And I think he hates that.
Good. Good.
But
I hope he does hate that. He's not going to have any women in prison either. So there's that.
well, yeah, but he doesn't mind.
No, he doesn't mind.
No, because he what's the word I'm looking for? He
He
plays
swings
both
both
sides,
ways.
swings both
He
ways.
swings both
I don't
ways.
know.
There
The
you go.
pitcher, the
Well,
hitter. I don't know how that stuff
yeah.
goes, but he's all
No,
of the above. So
he's probably the catcher. He's probably the bottom bitch, in my opinion. And you know what? I hope he bottom bitches for those guys, and they're rough as they can be on him. That's what I wish on Chris. And I know this isn't over yet. It's not over. And he's gonna be sentenced. We're gonna be there. We're gonna say, prayers, put out the best vibes that we can for the max that he can get, and then we're here afterwards. This doesn't end. I know that there's a civil suit coming, and I hope that they're fair with Bree, and they understand, because it seems like the news is calling them out hard. I saw some of those
yeah,
interviews now, and I'm like, wow. I was surprised how hard they were calling calling them out.
I know. Well, that's a whole different story. DCP&P. I mean, I don't know. They really they screwed up. They know they did. And it's not the first time they've done this, I'm sure, but I don't think everybody made a big stink over it like Bree did. I don't think everybody created a justice for whomever group when it happened. I think it was quiet and it went away. Bree wasn't
Right,
having that. She wasn't letting that happen. And
right. Well,
the
good.
attorney that she has an attorney for this case, and I've been seeing them on like Facebook and stuff, and I didn't know this, but it's a pretty good group that she's got representing her in that
Yeah,
case. And,
I
you
can
know,
actually pull that up.
they were recommended by a dear, I call him a dear friend. He's a defense attorney,
Right,
that we know, and you don't need to know why we know him. We just know him. And,
right. Yeah, it
you
doesn't.
know, he recommended this attorney, and the guy's been great. He came to our house. You know, Bree never had to go to him. He came to her, and he's just been handling that case. She's not, you know, stressed by that case, you
That's
know,
good. She
so
doesn't need that. She doesn't need any more anything.
no.
I pulled up the Justice for Corey. It's a large group. There's 19,500 members, and they're doing a fantastic job there.
Yeah.
I see. It says here, I created this group to fight for justice for my son, Corey Micciolo. He was 6 years old when his life was taken from him by someone who's supposed to care and love for him, his father. We have an army here, and we will not stop fighting until justice is served. And then, there's a lot of outreach here. Bree, my heart goes out to you. Corey is fine now, and several others. Looks like the letter was sent to the judge, and it's been approved and submitted. Justice for Corey. We got the show on tonight, so hopefully some people that are in the group get to see this. So there are a lot of things on this page, and I mean, Bree's doing an amazing job. All you are too. You're backing her. It
You
seems you're
know,
supportive. Really,
and the Justice for Corey group, the members have been, I think, I know I would have went crazy about 8 times if we didn't have these people around us. They have gone above and beyond, so many of them. It's
right,
just, they're like family now. And, after sentencing, is over with, I mean, we're still going to have a relationship with these people. I hope
right.
none of them go away. I hope we're always going to have
Of
them. And,
course,
we're going
yeah.
to fight for another kid, so this doesn't happen to somebody else. So hopefully it doesn't end after sentencing.
Well, and again, I keep saying I'm here, but I'm here. So if you have something you want the attention to be brought to, just shoot me a text and I'm here. We can cover the case. I'm working with the
Thank you.
Madeline Soto. The Madeline Soto advocates call me all the time. And it's not just
Oh,
about Madeline Soto, it's other cases in Florida. And we're covering the DCP and PE and all these systems that are broken. We're calling them out, and I'm not afraid to call them out. So if you guys need something or want something covered or you need some media attention, I'm
yeah.
here.
I don't know if you're familiar with
It's
Chris
key.
Chris Cuomo. Do you know who that is
Yeah,
from?
of
What?
course.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
he was going to take DCP&P down, but he got quiet all of a sudden. I don't know if Karen Reed, that case got him
Interesting.
preoccupied, but he kind of forgot about us.
Oh,
You know?
wow.
Yeah, he hasn't said much. Haven't heard a peep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working with somebody in Florida right now, and DCP&P, they subcontract and contract out a bunch of the divisions to people that have backgrounds with like let's say like we'll call them chomo backgrounds and abusive backgrounds, so they're not doing good checks on them, and that's why
Mhm.
a lot of this is happening. So maybe in the future after
Right.
this stuff is done we can talk about that, because I am going to work on that. It doesn't matter what state it's in, it just matters that we're calling them out and getting some attention.
Right.
So I do have a lot of
Yeah. I
information on that.
think I think in every state, whether it's DCP&P, I don't know, every state calls them something different.
Yeah,
I think there's
CPS
room
is
for
here.
improvement. And yeah,
Yeah,
in every state, there's room for improvement.
right.
Definitely. I think they need to, I don't know, they should train them. They should have to go through training every couple of months. I mean, these people, I don't know. I don't know how they could screw up so bad. Maybe they just don't like their job and it's just a paycheck, but they screw
Well,
up all the time.
here's the thing is I have a lot of information on them, and the thing is they're contracting it out and they're not doing background checks on these people, and then they're underpaying them. There's a lot of corruption going on with how they're doing it. They shouldn't even be subcontracting, first of all, and they should be doing background checks. There's a whole bunch of things that are broken, and we can fix a little bit at a time. There are other cases in your area too that I want to focus on that I've had people reach out to me about. So I'm in it. If you need anything too, I'm here. So,
Thank
you
you.
know, just
I
one
should
step
get
at a
off the
time.
phone for now, but
Okay.
um,
Yes.
anyway,
222.
I appreciate
Prayer for
you
you.
and everyone else who has given Corey's case attention. I appreciate all of you. It's this is the only way to fix things is get the word out, and you guys make that happen. So thank you.
You're welcome. Prayers for the family, and I will see you all on August 2nd. And yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm covering it. So you take care, drive safe, and we'll talk soon.
great.
All right,
Thank
everyone.
you.
We all love you. Goodbye. All right.
Bye.
I'm gonna take her- All right, so she's off. We're going to keep going, folks. This was a surprise today. Bree was going to come on, but we're not done because a lot of people have questions. So I want to show you, I have a show lined up for today. I want to show you Chris getting found guilty of the aggravated manslaughter and then that and endangerment, which can be up to 40 years. Now, I know that, and I don't blame Rebecca one bit for being jaded by this whole thing, but there's still hope that he can get the max sentence if that judge decides so. Thank you all for being here. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you or any of that today. So hello to everybody. Techbird, thank you for being here. Petty Mason, Melly. Yeah, show love for people that didn't know this. That was Rebecca Micciolo. Bree Micciolo's mom, Corey Micciolo's grandmother, and you can see she's in stages of grieving still and healing and then not, and whatever. She's got a long road ahead of her, but we're here. We're here for sentencing. We're gonna live stream it with Toddy One, if you know that content creator. And then I also, so we're gonna talk about this here. You guys, I can answer some questions if you don't know the case. Well, Angie, she's jaded because her grandson is no longer alive, and this monster you see on the screen took his life in the worst way possible, and there's nothing going to bring him back. So she's jaded not because of it. Even if the judge gives him 40 years, yeah, you're right. What a crime to remember. Grieving never ends. There's so many things that this monster did, and he didn't even get half of what he deserves. As far as the charges go, they were pretty light on charges because he didn't have a record. Thank you for covering this case and for attending the trial, sending a gift for your huge heart. Well, thank you so much, Stella. I appreciate you. Yeah, they called DCP&P over 100 times. They talked to the judge the day before Corey Micciolo passed away. Hey, Jay, are they bringing charges against the other breeder? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, no, his parents? No, his parents didn't get any charges. I'm not sure. Let's play this, and I'll try to figure out. Let's watch this real quick as they read this, and we'll talk about the sentencing here. And then I have a message from Bree in another interview. So if you're in it, hit that like button, folks. Show your love, show your support. Anything counts. If you guys have extra, send a super chat, super sticker, or just hit the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm.
Is not your verdict. Juror number 2. Juror number 3 is empty. Juror number 4 is alternate. Juror number 5. Juror number 6.
Okay.
Juror number 7. Juror number 8.
Yes.
Juror number 9.
Look
Juror
at Bree
10.
in the background.
Juror
There's
number 11
Bree.
is an alternate. Juror number 12. Juror number 13 has been excused. Juror number 14.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
All right, so there's Bree. She's crying as the verdict's being read. This guy, Christopher Gregor, is grieving for himself. Not one time did he shed a tear for the little boy, Corey, that he took his life.
Juror number 16. Is counsel satisfied that the verdict is unanimous?
Yes.
At this time, I would ask the clerk to record and note in the minutes that the verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the function you have performed is one of the most important civic duties you can ever be called upon to fulfill. With the return of your verdict, your service in this case is complete. Upon your discharge, you are not required, except upon court order, to discuss your deliberations or verdict with anyone. Additionally, no attorney or party or any person acting on their behalf.
So that's the only time he really showed emotion, other than when his parents went on the stand, but he didn't show that kind of emotion, and it's only emotion for himself. Yeah, eye of the moment says cold-hearted prick. You're absolutely right. And his parents are just like him. They're all show, no heart. And Sue says this judge bugs me. I really hope this judge gives him the max. That's what we're talking about today. And then we're going to hear a message from Bree. She wasn't able to come on, but she's here in spirit with us. Pray for her to get better. COVID is a nasty strain right now, and they all have it.
If is permitted under our rules of court to examine you or question you or even to discuss with you your verdict or your deliberations or your role in this matter. In some states, judges are actually able to stay afterwards and speak to the jurors about the experience. In New Jersey, judges and attorneys are specifically prohibited from doing that. If anyone approaches you associated with the case,
all right, let's go a little bit farther so we can talk about.
Obviously,
we could talk about
yours has been the free
sentencing.
presence of your fellow jurors.
All right.
They're going to make sure there's plenty of officers taken to your cars. So if you want to exchange some telephone numbers or something like that, or become friends, I guess you do that quickly, because I would really appreciate that you get in your vehicles and you go home and get out of here in the event there's any reaction by.
All right, let's go through those guilties one more time. Count 1, endangering the welfare of a child. Count 2, murder, is not guilty, but he was found guilty of the lesser included homicide offense, aggravated manslaughter. I just want to point out, he's standing there. I said at one point, is he crying? And heard in my ear, nope, it doesn't look like he's crying. He does look upset. He looks a little bothered. I'm sure he is.
So look at his face. Thank you, M.M. Clark. I appreciate you. He did not get the murder charge. And if you ask why Rebecca's jaded, it's because Corey's never coming back. However, we were hoping he would get the murder charge. He got the lesser charge. The reason he didn't get the murder charge was because nobody thinks that it was premeditated. It was something that happened, and it was a accumulation of abuse that happened. Amanda says, I had a judge in my DV cause her in New Jersey. I couldn't read it. I was scared. At the end, I was granted my FRO, and she reamed him. Interesting. Sometimes it's hard to understand the comments. Some other people understand. Then thank you. Justice for Corey. Let's finish this. I want you to see what the charges are going to hold. And then we'll hear a message from Bree. And there's more information that are behind the scenes that you're not going to hear on Court TV or any other place, because they're here. I love Bree's mom speaking her truth, power, and strength. Yes, Grandma. All right. And I will look up the Ashley Craft in case I want to focus on this one right now. I know that it's heartbreaking, and there's a lot of cases like that in New Jersey.
Is not happy with that. Let's bring in Michael Jafer, still with me. Michael, let's talk about this aggravated manslaughter charge in New Jersey. It is when someone recklessly causes death while showing an extreme indifference to human life.
I agree that was bad. There was recklessness here. I like the jury. I like what they did. This is when the jury system really works. I think it was clearly reckless. And he should count himself lucky.
Yes.
Lucky that he didn't get convicted of the big charge. I'll tell you why. Whenever there's a death of a child at the hands of a parent, I've seen juries over convict. In this case, they didn't. They convicted the proper charge.
Well, let's get into the difference between murder and the aggravated manslaughter. It's the intent. Was this a premeditated, intentional murder? Obviously.
Now, if you guys have been following this channel and you've been following this case, both Bree and Rebecca Micciolo, they both said they did not think that he intentionally took Corey's life. He is a monster, and he liked the control, and he liked the abuse. He abused another child, which was his girlfriend's child, and it went too far. So nobody wants to see him get a lesser sentence, but nobody wants him to get an appeal and end up getting off. But yes, Stella, you're absolutely right. If they didn't find the treadmill video, he probably would have gotten off on all charges, because it would have been hard to prove that because of the time frame that those things happened and the time that he passed. All right, let's listen some more, and then we want to hear Bree, her message to us.
Jury said no.
Absolutely. And there was no premeditation. There was no intent. I know that was the original charge, but there was no intent here. There's no way. And we had it on tape. He clearly was not trying to kill his kid. He was an idiot, and he got convicted accordingly.
Yeah, and the aggravated manslaughter carries 10 to 30 years. But I understand that the judge is now addressing the attorneys. Let's get back inside the courtroom.
Sentencing date?
August 2nd, 1:30 p.m. in person.
And that's a Friday?
Yes.
Mr. Lucci, is that acceptable for you?
Yes, Judge.
All right, anything else from counsel for the other side?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right, defendant was detained pre-trial, the jury having found him guilty of aggravated manslaughter, a first-degree crime, and endangering the welfare of a child, a second-degree crime. I order that he be remanded pursuant to rule.
All right, listen up, folks, real quick. Since August 2nd is coming up fast, this is why I'm bringing this to you today. Toddy One is going to, and if someone could drop her channel on here, one of the mods, Toddy One is going to go to the courthouse and stream what she can of the sentencing with me on my channel. So you can write a letter to the judge asking for the maximum sentence. The email address is found on, or I guess it's an email. It's found on the Toddy One channel or on the Facebook group, Justice for Corey. Now, I want to explain Justice for Corey is a closed group, but you can send an invite. You can ask to join and they'll accept. They just don't want an open group of people trolling the channel. So either one of those, Justice for Corey. Thank you, Kirsten66, for bringing that to our attention. And I think we're stronger together as a community when us content creators come together and do things like this. So AG Tactical might even be involved as well. So we've got Toddy One, myself, and a possible third content creator, folks. So stronger the better, and you guys can, and I can link it here. I just need someone to send it to me, and then I'll put it in my I can put it in my community. So yeah, we're stronger together as content creators. Remember that all content creators are welcome on my channel, and we're welcome to collaborate. It's just a stronger, better community. And yeah, I enjoy Justice for Corey. Let's keep going because I want to talk about this. And I'm glad you guys like AG Tactical, Toddy One, and everybody in the future that I'm going to collaborate with, because that's my goal. I'm like Eminem, collaborate with everybody. If you've seen Eminem lately, you know what I'm talking about.
Rule 3:21-4A, pending sentence.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
And counsel, it was a pleasure to have all of you here. Both sides did an excellent job. Made my job easier. Thank you both. Thank you all four of you, I should say.
All right.
All right, you folks, can I sit? Just remain in the hallway for a few minutes?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, court as ever, you can still see the defendant there learning his fate. The sentencing has just been set by the judge for August 2nd of this year. I want to bring back in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer. Listen to, I was just saying 10 to 30 years is the possible sentence for the aggravated manslaughter. Of course, then they'll be separate for the endangering. That might run consecutively or concurrently. But in this case, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, had he been convicted of murder in this case with this particular child who was only 6 years old, he would have been sent to prison for life without parole because the child was under the age of 14. So for the defense team, this is a huge.
Yeah, they had terrible. That was not my streaming. So listen to this for a minute, and then I'm gonna, if anybody wants a recap, and then I'll bring Bree on. Thank you, Behind the Mask, for joining Toddy. Everyone should join Toddy. She's part of the fam. If you do need a quick recap of the Corey case, I can. I'm not going to show him on the treadmill, but I just want you to know what happened. And Stella says that's what makes your channel enjoyable to be part of. You're genuine, and thank you. Thank you. And I try to be genuine with other people. Yeah, you never stop loving your offspring. And Rebecca is doing an amazing job in supporting Bree. I feel like she's been there. I feel like she's been a great mother the whole time from everything that she's told us on the channel. All right, they're being real here about sentencing that's happening on August 2nd, so get ready for that.
huge win.
I think it's a great win. On a Friday, they go out, they have every cause to celebrate. They did an excellent job for them. When you're a defense attorney, you go in, even sometimes when your client is convicted, it's a win if you get them sentenced in a certain reasonableness, right? They did an excellent job. They had no plea on the table, by the way, for this. I think if they had a plea on the table for something like this, they would have taken it, they would have pounded the table for their client and said, take this plea. That was not offered to them. They got it with the jury. I think they did a great job.
And one of the things they did, we know, is Dr. Bodden testified as an expert on behalf of the defense to say that the child died of natural causes, that he had fast-acting pneumonia. That's not the correct medical term, and also then he had a laceration in his heart. And so at the end of the day, it was a battle of the experts. I think that it means that they believed that the injuries to the
And you guys know Dr. Bodden, folks. That guy should retire now. Shout out to Toddy. We still have more to go. So I can let's go to the message from Bree. I have 200 people in chat. We had more earlier. Don't drop off. I want you to hear some of the things that Bree says. This was about 3 weeks ago. And if you guys didn't see it, this is a friend of Rebecca. Rebecca's so awesome. Rebecca is Bree's mom, and this is her friend. I don't know if you saw it or not. There's a couple interviews, but this one particularly, she was back on Tales from the Pen, and this was after the guilty verdict. So I want you guys to hear some of this. She's also on Crime Analyst, but we've been on for a while, so I don't know how long you guys want to stay. Let's listen to this for a little bit. I think it's important to hear all the sides.
Okay. First of all,
this is new.
Good to see you. Happy. Yeah. I'm very, very happy for you to join us. So since the last time we spoke, because we spoke a couple of years ago, right? You know, just to get some of the people who may not know, because
Right. And so you guys saw this. I played this on my channel a couple of years ago. This is a new one. And Bree lays it down.
I have a lot of new subscribers.
Yeah, I think you were one of the first, if not the first, people that actually gave us a platform to speak about anything, because, you know, before he got charged, no one wanted to hear it, you know?
Right. Hey, listen, I'm happy that I could be a part of that process, because I remember in the beginning, he wasn't charged with anything and just some.
You know what? Before we get into this, I want to mention that Maddie, they offered him a plea deal. And that's why I think he's not going to get 20 years, folks. They offered Christopher Gregor 30 years and he turned it down. And then he got convicted. Yeah, Bodden equals Tales from the Crypt. So they gave him 30 years. He said no, went to trial. Now he's facing 30 years plus 10 for the endangerment. So that's why I don't think he's going to get only 30 years, because why would they go through all that? You guys tell me what you think, but trial's coming up. We'll know soon.
Child abuse, and which may have been some other from somebody else past, which we'll get to that too, because since that time, because there was a lot of things we didn't know at the time, and there was a lot of things that came out during the court trial, right? And for those who just tuned in, we're speaking to Breanna Micciolo, mother of Corey Micciolo, a beautiful 6-year-old boy who was murdered by his father. You know, after some abuse and patterns of abuse that was reported to the proper people, it still let it happen. So I just want to fill in some people who we are and what we're about to do and what we're about to talk about, because
we'll go a little bit more because we know already.
For himself, he kind of was forced into it, but by his family, not mine. And around 5.
So they had heard and they wanted to get involved, basically?
Yes.
Okay. So at 5 years old, so he basically only had a year and some change to be in Corey's life. How long was he actually in Corey's life? Like, as far as like, you know, when he was a mainstay?
Yeah. So before he passed, I think it was about 18 months from the time that he met Corey, like actually met him.
That?
So,
okay. So spot on, her and her mom. You can tell how close they are. Spot on. I asked her mom and she said about 18 months. Corey was in Christopher Gregor's life, not because he wanted to, because he didn't want child support. Now, do you think he's going to get more years? Yes, I do. He was offered 30. He did not take it. He thought he was going to get off. He's facing 30 plus child endangerment, which is up to 10 years. Child endangerment when it's your child is even worse than if I was babysitting someone and I endangered them. So keep that in mind. And let's pray and put out good vibes for the sentencing, that he's going to get the maximum amount. Look at how devastated grandma is, Rebecca, and we'll hear Bree right now. Bree is looking good. Bree's fantastic, man. I love that family. They're great. Bree, we all love you. Love your mom. Corey, we know we'd love him if we have met him. He's our angel now, and that's where we are. Now we're gonna get justice. Hopefully, the most possible harshest justice we can get
for him. Yeah.
Okay. So he came into Corey's life, tried to
Yeah.
Now,
thank you.
He had visitation, or how was it? How did that go?
So it started out with visitation, and then he slowly, got more custody, and eventually we had 50-50.
Okay.
And then at one point, I actually lost custody because I failed a drug test.
Okay.
So towards the end of Corey's life, he had more custody than I did.
Okay, because of that failed drug test.
Yeah,
That's
right.
how it works, right? Okay.
Yeah, which is I completely understand because someone abusing drugs, it's not good, but also I guess they thought it was worse than him getting abused physically, which I don't think, which is crazy to me.
Right. But yeah, you know what? Sometimes we all go through our dark periods, right? And we learn and we grow from them. So
yeah,
which also is going to make you a stronger parent for your little baby girl. We'll get to that later too, though. We'll get to that later too. So you guys had joint custody. Now, would Corey, now tell the people, would Corey complain when he came back from dad's to you?
Every time. Yeah. One of the first times he went for a visit, it was immediate that Corey was uncomfortable. He was getting abused from the second visit, and he was a changed kid after the first time he went. Completely different kid. And yeah, he didn't want to go with him.
But but he wouldn't actually say what happened, right? Because I want to be clear, because I say these questions, most of them I know the answers to, but a lot of the trial, Bree, I felt was I watched bits and pieces, but I felt like you were on trial, right? I felt like it was you that was they tried to flip it like that, right? So
yeah.
It
was hard, because my whole.
So if you guys go back and watch other videos, that was not even a factor. Her addiction, she wasn't even really, it wasn't like a struggling with addiction for years. She was young. She did it a few times and then she didn't. Like everybody probably in their early 20s or teens has tried some kind of something. Not everybody, but a lot of people. That's more of what it was. But the reason she wanted to come on our channel was to make it very clear that she wasn't struggling with addiction. That's not how it was. And they made it look like that. Jamie says, you're funny. He's okay, but I don't know what he's been doing personally. What? Who's been doing? The father? Wait, what do you mean? The judge will give the max sentence. The time served. I knew you were trying to figure that out. All right, let's keep listening to this.
Like, imagine anybody that's watching on trial, like everything you've ever done in your life,
I hope so,
bad or good, is going to be involved. It's going to be called out in court. So it's like, I had bad issues, whatever, but
exactly.
I feel like anybody on trial, it would have been close to similar. Like everyone's bad things get called out,
Right. Everyone's skeletons come out the closet, so to speak, right? There's no hiding, right? They dig for everything.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so because that's a question I seen in a lot of comments on other, when you've spoken like on CNN and Inside Edition, or a lot of the comments were, and in no way am I coming at you in any type of way, but a lot of people were like, why did you keep sending them? Can you let the people know finally, once and for all, why did you have to keep sending Corey back to his father?
Yeah, so
they got
first
arrested.
There was a court order, and when you disobey a court order and the other party, the other person, Christopher, goes to court and says she's not sending my son to my house, for my time, my parenting time, then the judge starts threatening you with jail. He's going to get more custody, and they just hold you in contempt and all these other things. So we tried that, and that wasn't working. And then we tried.
Well, listen, folks, that case that everyone was just talking about, the Ong case with the little girl that got kidnapped and went to Mexico, that's one of those situations where a parent kidnaps a child and it went worldwide. Everybody heard about it. We don't know what happened between those parents. We have no idea if one of them was abusing the other, and the other said, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this. So basically that's a situation. Bree didn't have a choice except to hand him over on the days that was Christopher Gregor's, were his days. Otherwise, she would go to jail.
DCPMP, and they ended up just dragging Corey out of the house to take him to these visits or his parenting time. So no matter who we called, the police, it was like no one helped us. And if we didn't send him, we were getting punished for it.
Right. No, I basically just wanted to give you the opportunity because, you know, sometimes people, and again, it felt like you were on trial and some of the people were kind of confused. Yep. And that's how it is because, and I understand it's like that here in New York. Like when you have a court order, if you don't establish, you know, you don't abide by it, you can go to jail. They can file what's called violations and you can go to jail as the other party. And you're just trying to, you're just trying to help your son.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we could have ran away. I mean, but I was 23 at the time. Like I didn't have money just to flee to Mexico, Canada, and never be seen again. Like that wasn't an option. And, you know, if I did, we would have been found eventually. And then guess what? I'm never seeing Corey again because kidnaps him, you know?
That's right. That's right.
And think about this, folks. She is, and she's Bree is openly suing DCP&P, or I don't know if it's the city or the judge or whoever. She openly has a civil suit going for this. They royally messed up, folks. They did, and it's very open. The news is blasting them now, and I think they'll probably end up offering her a deal. They'll probably want to settle. They messed up. She was doing what she was supposed to do, and they criticized her, but what they did really was put her on trial to make Christopher look better, which is what happens. Look at all the cases now. That's what they do. They victim blame and etc. That's all that happened.
That you'd have been on the news for kidnapping, and then people are like, "Oh my God, this lady kidnapped." It's not that's your kid. I get it, right? So I also want to get to the fact that because you said that you talked to DC, whatever that Jersey is in New York, it's called ACS or whatever, the Child Services. So you had notified Child Services of the bruises and things that were happening, correct?
Yeah, many times. You know, sometimes multiple people in my family would make a report on the same issue, just to make them see like, oh my God, look at this, and
paper trail, right?
Yeah, and nothing ever ended up happening, no matter how many times we reported it. And then like when no one's like listening, you kind of get nasty with them and you start fighting with them, and they were just like wanted nothing to do with us.
Right. And could that also have been because of the influences and from his father, who is what is his father again? He's
a retired state trooper for New Jersey.
Right, and I believe the family's involved with politics and things like that, correct?
Oh yeah, they know judges, they know prosecutors, they know everybody, other cops. So I definitely think influence on the abuse cases.
Right, because they would actually ask questions because I want to talk about the time like when Corey came home with the bruised lip and the soccer ball incident. Can you just tell the people how ridiculous that sounds? But can you tell the people the story, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So it was Christopher's second visit alone with Corey. He I don't remember if I dropped him off or he picked him up, but at the end of the visit, he dropped him off at my house outside and then just sped off. So I was at the door and I walked outside to get Corey and we walked in, and then
before we get into this crime to remember, I want you to remember that the day before Corey passed, Bree went directly to the judge and they saw the video of him on the treadmill being abused on the treadmill. And you guys all know the treadmill video. I don't have to get into that. The treadmill video is the one where he was running on the treadmill and falling and he kept getting back up. Ultimately, he died of heart lacerations. And I don't have the report here in front of me, but the judge saw that video. And I'm sure not just the judge, I'm sure other people that were involved in the case. How could you see that video, folks, and then give that Corey back to Christopher Gregor? That's what they did. So they royally messed up, and they know it.
Saw that he had what looked like blood. There was red splatter on his shirt. So I asked him, I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And then when we got into the light, I could see that he had some blood on his face, a busted lip, and it was his face was just really swollen. And I kept asking him what happened, and he was just, you could tell he was afraid. He didn't want to tell me. So, that scared me. So, we went to the police station. He didn't want to tell the cops anything either. The cops ended up calling, I'm trying to think, Child Protective Services. I just want to say so everyone understands when I say that, So they called them and they did their investigation. Really not, But Chris and his father, the state trooper, told the caseworker that Chris was kicking a ball, but then accidentally kicked Corey in the face. And his father was like, yeah, I was there, I saw it. And I'm like, it was bullshit, because, you know, Corey did end up telling us what actually happened, which was he cursed and Chris smacked him.
Okay.
Or like, you know, the injury matches that more than being kicked in the face.
You know, and it's crazy how that, you know, the son really just wanted to protect the dad, because, you know, he, after just recently coming to his life, he maybe didn't want to get him in trouble. And that's just heartbreaking to me just to think about, you know?
Yeah, I also think it was like, I don't know what Chris threatened him with from the beginning. Like, oh, I'll do this to, you know, your mom, or, oh, you know, I'll kill you. I don't know what he was saying to him to make him so afraid. But
yeah, this was the reason this case was hard to get him on murder is because it was a continuation of time that this happened. You're right about the autopsy. There were many incidents that led up to this. Yeah, the Gregors are lying, and they are culpable, but I don't think anything's ever going to happen to them. We saw what happened with them at court and them testifying, and then the mom not going on the stand because Christopher was trying to tell his mom what to say, coercion. So, I mean, these are just bad people, folks. They're bad people. Yeah, we can't forget they're like the Soto family, and when trial happens, we're gonna see the Soto family probably doing the same type of thing and vouching for Jen. I wish they wouldn't, but they probably will.
I think it was something like that, more so than just not wanting to tell on his dad.
Okay, right. So, okay. So we're going to get to the day before that. Okay, before that. The part of the story that really touched me, and I know it's going to touch a lot of viewers when we talk about it, and if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
Okay.
But I want to, if you don't mind telling me that about God and about how Corey's, you know, fascination at the end with God, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So Corey went to like CCD. He believed in God throughout his life. But yeah, he was the night before the week before, he was asking my mom about God. And then the night before he passed, he was asking me what God looked like, what heaven was like. Yeah, it just seemed like he knew. And, you know, as a parent, when your child's asking that, like, they're so curious. They ask all these questions all the time. He used to ask crazy questions. So I was just like, you know, kind of like, yeah, like gave him a little answer and that was it. I didn't think into it too much because, like, you know, you never think like he's asking that because, you know, something's going to happen the next day. So, yeah, I don't.
Again, we've heard this on my channel before. We just heard from Rebecca talking about this. This interview was just 3 weeks ago, Jamila. After Christopher Gregor was found guilty, first Bree came on my channel with her mom, and then after that she went on to News Nation. She went on to several. There's lots and lots of interviews of her. So this was only 3 weeks ago, and I'm thinking about playing a little more of this and then showing you the one on Crime Analyst where it goes back and talks about them meeting and how much of a monster Chris is and what he did, because we've heard a lot of this. She's telling the same thing that happened that she told on my channel. I just want you guys to all know who these content creators are. You can go to their channel. They're really good people, and they're also looking to get justice. So yeah, this is all fairly new. Jamila, Bree was supposed to be on here today, but they have COVID. So she didn't get to come on because her and her daughter and her boyfriend, they all have COVID. So her mom came on today. So yeah, that was really nice of her mom to come on and talk with us.
No, like it makes me believe in something. You know?
Right. How about the part where didn't he write something outside or something on the floor or something like that?
Yeah. So the weekend before he passed, he was, you know, outside with chalk, drawing pictures. And he actually wrote, "I died," with a frowny face. And it was, when we noticed, it was bothersome. Why are you writing that? But he also played like his video games like Roblox and, you know, so I'm like, okay, it could be that. But then I remember the night that the cops came to inform me that he had passed. I remember walking back into my house and looking down and seeing that.
Wow.
And I was like, they took pictures of it and everything, because I'm like, it was so disturbing at that point though.
Right. Right. I'm very sorry, Bree. I'm very sorry. You know, that, even just to relive it, you know, I'm very sorry. And, you know, again, my condolences. And I know, you know, from my Tails family, it's condolences to you and your family. Okay. So we'll move on from that, because that's kind of, you know, that was kind of very emotional, you know, and to look down and to see I died. And after they just told you that was crazy. So we're going to get to that part about Chris taking Corey to the hospital, and you know, and that little scenario too.
Okay, so we did hear all this before. Yeah, she came on my channel right after sentence, or right after the phase of guilt, and talked about all that. So I'm gonna do crime analysis, and we haven't seen that one. She opens up about what happened, and I want you to hear that. This one isn't very long. You know, we could be on here for hours, of course, but my whole goal today is to bring light to this case and let people know that sentencing's coming up, and we want to be there for the family. We want to say prayers, good vibes. We want to send love to the family and do anything that we can. We want Corey's law to pass. We want to help mom write her book. We want to support them in the Justice for Corey community. That's why I'm here. Okay. I didn't just say, oh, let me pick a case today. I did it with a purpose, and my purpose is to let you know that sentencing's coming up, and we're going to do it together with Toddy One, and we're going to support the family. And any way we can, we're going to keep them in the community and keep them in our hearts and do anything that we can for them. Stella, that's how I found you, Jay. You're my first crime chat. Well, thank you, Stella. Thank you for still being here. What up, Malibu Surfer? Yo, Jay and crew. Love Malibu Surfer. I love Malibu, too, by the way. That place is awesome. I think he's going to get at least 30 years, and that's my opinion, because why would you offer someone 30 years and then do a whole trial and spend millions of dollars and then not even give them that? So let's listen to this little while you guys chat. Changing the legislation around CPS for Corey's law. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. You can't. How can you give hundreds of, they were just calling, make reports. I sent the video and they were ignored. Yeah, can you imagine looking at the photo that I died? No, I can't. I cannot. So let's hit that like button, please. I know you guys love the channel. If you love the channel, then you want to see me grow so I can get better interviews, more people. And we want to make the relationships here, folks. We want to help people. That's why we're here, to help people. Thank you, Kathy. You guys are great people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I'm only here because I exist because of you. Thank you. Thank you for renewing your membership. I will be doing a members only soon. I got to do it next week before my birthday, because my birthday is July 25th. And then guess what? I'm going back out to the pool and to have some fun, because everything's so heartbreaking. And when I get back, I'll do sentencing. All right. So it's my birthday month. If that means anything, hit that like for me. Help me have a good birthday. You guys always do anyway. All right. Yeah, that should be the book. That should be the title. I died, with the cover with it written in chalk. Wow. That's crazy. All right. Let's listen to this. Wow.
You know, there's no other way to describe him. I mean, he's just horrible. He's just a really horrible person. And I feel like he needs to stay in prison the rest of his life. Like I said, if he gets out, I don't care if he's 70, he will still do that. He's still evil. People are evil at 70. You know, they can still commit crime, you know.
I agree. The risk, I spend a lot of time saying exactly that, actually, that just because you're 70, it doesn't take away what's going on up here. You know, that psychological need to control and to control the narrative. You know, the other thing, just going back to why I think it was murder, is the fact he deleted all the phone messages, the text messages between you and him. Well, why do that? You know, you had 3,466 messages on your phone, and all the bullying and all the things that he said and did to you, he's deleted that. So that again just points to a consciousness of guilt. But do continue. So I interrupted your flow. You got pregnant. You found out you were pregnant, and
No, you can interrupt me whenever you want. It's fine. I like going like back and forth and just like straight telling the story, you know.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
We
I
love
met
you,
him,
Bree.
however you want to put it, and I guess it was a few weeks later I found out I was pregnant. So I didn't tell him right away because of the person he is, and I kind of just, you know, I told my parents. My parents never asked like, oh well, who the father is. Like we were just like, we all agreed that, you know, I want to keep this baby, and I just didn't believe in abortion. Everyone has their. I'm not saying that like for everybody, just for me myself, I didn't want to have an abortion, so I decided to keep.
Now, I want you to know this was also 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, Bree is very real, very, very real. I love when I talk to her because she just keeps it real. There's no filter. She says it how it is. Yeah, it's Leo season now. Jay, it's like he called his own death. He knew he was dying. It was a slow death, and that's why Grandma Rebecca says that she hopes that Christopher Gregor dies this in the exact same way, slow and alone. My God, 22, 722. Yeah, I'm 725. All right, all my love and prayers to Bree and the family, and keep praying. Let's keep this community together so we can help them anytime they need anything. If it's for other cases, let's help them on other cases. Whatever they need, let's help them. And yeah, she was SA'd by him, folks. We heard that from her on my channel.
Corey, and my parents were going to help raise him because I was 16 years old. You know, we lived in like the same area, so people talk, and I'm walking around very pregnant. And so Chris finds out that I was pregnant. I was probably around like 8 months pregnant, and he calls me. He's like, "Oh, you're pregnant?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, is it my kid?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we met up, and he was just telling me, I'm in college. I can't have a kid. I can't afford a kid. And I was like, "Then go on. Like, I don't want you around anyway." So yeah, he basically right from the beginning. I know in the trial it seems like, you know, I just threw a kid on him at 5 years old, but that's not what happened. He knew from the get-go that I was pregnant, that he was his child. He just didn't acknowledge it until he was made to acknowledge it in court. And even then, he didn't acknowledge that until his parents made him. They made
That's
him
what I was
step
going to
up
ask you. Did the parents kind of pressure him to step up and do the right thing? Is that where it came from?
Absolutely. And I think that made Chris worse. Like, he didn't want to be a father, and his parents are like, you have to be. So that made, and he's already this disgusting, abusive person. So who is he going to take it out on? His logical thinking is the child, you know, because God knows if he even looked at me wrong, I would call the cops. Like he wasn't touching me. So, yeah, I guess that was his mindset. And I wish, you know, his family would realize that he didn't want to be a father, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. Corey didn't need a father. He was doing just fine. If they wanted to be a part of his life, that would be perfectly fine, the grandparents. But they knew how Chris was. They knew he's abused before. Why?
And remember, folks, this is a condensed interview. If you go back to my channel and watch the original interview, you'll hear everything in between of how she was SA'd, and that when she filled out the paperwork, she was only 16 when she had Corey. So when she filled out the paperwork when Corey was 5 and she needed public assistance, medical, all that, they asked who the father was, and she put his name on the paperwork, and she would never have done that had she known. So they came after Chris for child support, and that's where all this happened. She did not want him involved, but she didn't know. If she knew what she knows, if she knew then what she knows now, she would have said, I don't know who the father is.
I put a child in that person's life.
Well, maybe they had this ridiculous notion that might make him grow up, you know, might make
I think
him,
so.
But it doesn't, does it? It brings out all the worst qualities if you don't want that child, because bringing up a child is tough. It's difficult. It's not easy. And maybe that explains some of the resentment and the punishment side of, you know, for me, I just felt the motivation to punish Corey and punish you. It felt like the two things were entwined, you know?
Yeah. I think he took his anger out on me, on Corey also, because I would notice like he would be getting more injuries, or there would be more incidences when I was, you know, I fought with Christopher. And that's kind of why.
She had everything for Corey. Of course, even if it was medical, she needed to put down who the father was, or say that she didn't know. So yeah, it was her. The only reason he was involved is because the parents didn't want to look bad and they didn't want to pay child support. So yeah, Chris is an evil monster and an abuser, and it wasn't just Corey. He was abusing some other lady's child.
I had to be so fake to him. I had to like make him think like I'm trying to like think of an example, but you know when you have to be like nice to your abuser so they like let you go free or whatever, like, oh, let me out, like if you're kidnapped or something. It was kind of like that situation. Like I had to just pretend to, be nice to him so he wouldn't do this to Corey, because what else am I going to do? Court's not helping, DCPMP is not working, the cops aren't helping. So the best thing I can do is just pretend to like this guy so maybe he won't hurt Corey. That's the best thing I could think of since no one else was doing anything.
You were trying to manage the coercive controller and make sure, it's
Yeah.
not easy to do that. It's like a hostage situation, where you're
That's
constantly
what
having
it feels
to,
like.
yeah, you're pushing your own needs and thoughts down because you don't want to escalate things with them. It's like a walking on eggshells and not wanting to get that reaction from them, but you know that it's Corey that's at risk. And that's a very difficult place when you're asking other people for help and you're sounding the alarm, which, 100 reports, Brie, my goodness. I mean, I would expect some professional to think, hang on, we need to look at this properly, and should have looked at it far earlier. And well, let's take a step back and go back to when he comes into Corey's life, because things go wrong.
And trust me, she said it in the video. She said she wished she would have said she didn't know who the dad was as well. All right, folks, some people are dropping out. I don't know if there's another show on. We've been here for an hour and 40 minutes. Hit that like button if you haven't and you're leaving. We're going to wrap up after this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the Stephen Stearns, Madeline Soto, Jen Soto case. It's going to be a good episode, folks. There's a lot of information packed in to that episode tomorrow as we wait for Jennifer Soto to be arrested. And I say that because I'm waiting for her to be arrested. I'm waiting for the rest of the documents to come out to implicate her. I'm waiting for Stephen Stearns to somehow implicate her. I'm just waiting patiently and taking the pleas, former FBI and all the people that have experience. I'm taking that in and just waiting for it. Thank you, Jamila, and everybody else that's supporting me. And Jay, can you mention the community page? Yeah, please go check out my community page for everything. But we did put Kelly's Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. That's Wade Wilson's ex-girlfriend. Everybody just check out my community page all the time because that's where I'm going to post things to help other people. Thanks for the reminder, Bree. I actually do get quite a bit of people on my community page, surprisingly. And thank you, Millie. Love you. Love our conversations. All right, we've got a few more minutes on this. And again, I thank every single one of you for all of the support that you've given to this channel and to the victims' family. You guys are amazing.
On quite quickly, don't they? It wasn't that they had lots of visits and things were okay. You were actually concerned from the start that Corey, had a busted lip, and you were worried about that.
Yeah. So, the first time it happened, so Chris went and he got visitations. They were very quick, like 3 hours, like after school or something, like twice a week in the beginning. And
just to quickly go back, the family court, Judge Silver, was it through that process that he got involved? I think, I read somewhere, or it might have been one of your interviews, that you wanted the state to help with financially with Corey, and then they asked you who the biological father was, and then they tracked him down, which is what worries me about domestic violence, rape, and like a woman doesn't want that to happen. I mean, that puts you at risk. It can put the child at risk, right? And it did in this case.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I hadn't spoken to Chris in a long time, and we just needed a little bit of help with food stamps or cash assistance. I forgot exactly which one it was, or it could have been both. And they asked for his father's name. And I was so young. I was like, it's this guy. I gave them the name, but I didn't realize they were going to go and start a court case against him. Like they literally, it was like, I forgot what it was, but it was them versus Chris to get, so they gave me the food stamps, but they were suing him basically for the money back that they gave me. And then that started a whole like, okay, well, he has to take a paternity test first. And then that went into.
What does a Zav girl transplant mean, Mitzi. That's funny, whatever that means. And awesome. Thank you, Malibu Surfer, for the super sticker. Wow, that's really cool. Thank you so much. I'm going to have a really good birthday. Y'all are helping me out in the time that I need it the most. I appreciate it. It also helps me to fund the show, as it is expensive to have all these apps and all these things to create this show. So thank you so much, as we are listening to these people and trying to help all of the victims. I only do this because I'm compelled to certain cases. I'm compelled to them all, but the cases I'm compelled to the most are the ones that I cover. So I can't just cover things because, well, it's in the news and all that and everybody wants me to. I have to be really compelled and find that spot where I can cover it. So I just want you to know how I cover cases. It's it's just something I have to be compelled to.
Oh, I need control and I want him. I want Corey. I want custody.
And probably his mindset and his psychopathology is, if I'm being forced to pay, then I want control.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. Yep.
So then, unfortunately for you, and and I think one part is, you can think that the state are trying to do the right thing and get a man to step into his responsibility. I mean, that's all very well and good if there isn't abuse. If you hadn't have been raped and if he didn't present a risk. But what happened here was that he presented a risk, right? And within 6 months, Corey's dead, and it's a very short timeline, isn't it?
Thank you, Kirsten. Aw.
Plant from the sun. It is big. It's big. It is made of gas. It is Jupiter.
Aw, justice for Corey, folks. That was a good interview, and that's good. Hashtag justice for Corey. All right, everybody. I think we had a pretty good show. Thank you, Kirsten66, for that super sticker. I appreciate every single one of you here. You guys are what drive me and compel me to do this. Techbird, thank you so much. Jay, when you're moved to dive in, that's where the compassion comes. We love you and your deep dives. Well, thank you. I am compelled to Corey's case. Absolutely. We want justice for Corey. Sweet boy. You're welcome, Web Weaver. Yeah, justice for Corey. Sweetie Brook Hire. Love you always. Mala Potato Soto. Yes, Potato Soto. Tomorrow, I used to love potatoes, but I can't look them in the face anymore. Right. Just think about a rotten potato that has a bunch of little things growing out of it and they're nasty and you just want to squash them. Yeah, Breanna's a superwoman, and that's why I wanted to highlight her, because she's doing everything she can to bring justice for Corey, and she's not stopping. She's a mom to a young child as well. So every single one of you, thank you. This show was planned for Bree, but it didn't work out. But I love Rebecca just as much. So we got to hear Rebecca today. We got to hear Bree, and you all were here to support the channel. So thank every single one of you for being here. My next live is tomorrow behind the mask. Every day I pretty much go on at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My dog is getting irritated right now. We can write the judge email to ask for maximum sentence. You absolutely can. I'll ask Toddy one or I'll go look on Toddy one's page. We'll be doing that together. Send healing vibes, period. You guys come tomorrow. Let's watch the potato. Tomorrow we have some good analyzed videos that you haven't seen before. We have Stephen Stern's video that you haven't seen, all new content. What's next? What's next for Stephen Stearns? What's next for Jen Soto? When's she going to get arrested? We're going to talk about all that. We're going to reanalyze the cases or the videos. We're going to talk about a lot. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. Lot to cover per usual. There's always so much to cover in every single case that I do. Good night, Jay. Great live and lovely chat. Love the mods. The one and only Jay is helping both mom and daughter for Corey. Absolutely. You know how we do around here. All right, y'all. Again, Jay with guilty of crime. If you do something wrong, you might end up on here. So don't do anything wrong. Be compassionate. Help people, not for your own gain. Just help people to get the vibe out there, love on people, and treat people how you would want to be treated. Okay? Every single one of you. Have a wonderful night. On that note, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?